Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about parallel parking. We'll cover the basics of how to parallel park, and then we'll tackle a tricky situation, getting out of a parallel parking spot when your car is feeling a little pinched. I'll show you 3 different techniques to help you escape safely and confidently. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Sergey Nikolenko here, and today we are tackling the art of parking, something that can be a real headache for many drivers. We'll cover everything from basic parallel parking to more challenging maneuvers, so stick with me. Let's start with parallel parking. Now, I know what you're thinking, parallel parking. But trust me, with a little practice and the right technique, it becomes second nature. First, find a space that's at least 1.5 times the length of your car. Position yourself alongside the car in front of the empty space, leaving about 2 to 3 feet of space between your car and theirs. Then, check your mirrors, signal, and slowly begin reversing, turning your steering wheel all the way to the right. As you back up, keep an eye on your rearview mirror and your side mirrors, adjusting your steering as needed to keep a straight line. Once you are at a roughly 45-degree angle to the curb, straighten your wheel and continue backing up until you're comfortably nestled into the space. Remember, it's all about smooth, controlled movements. Don't rush it. Take your time and adjust as you go. Practice makes perfect, and soon you'll be parallel parking like a pro. Next, let's talk about exiting a parallel parking spot, especially when you're feeling a little pinched. This is where patience and careful observation really pay off. Before you even start, take a moment to assess your surroundings. Check your mirrors thoroughly, making sure there's enough space to maneuver. Then, slowly begin to pull forward, turning your steering wheel to the left to give yourself enough room. If you feel like you are getting too close to the car next to you, stop, adjust, and try again. Remember, it's better to take it slow and steady than to risk a collision. Once you're clear of the space, check your mirrors one last time before merging back into traffic. Now, let's move on to perpendicular parking, specifically parking on the left. This method is slightly different than parking on the right. First, position your vehicle so that you're roughly parallel to the space, leaving enough room to maneuver. Then, slowly back into the space, turning your steering wheel to the right as you go. The goal is to angle your car so that it's positioned at roughly a 45-degree angle to the parking space. Once you've achieved this angle, straighten your wheel and continue backing up until your car is centered in the space. Again, smooth and controlled movements are key. Take your time and don't be afraid to adjust your steering as needed. Perpendicular parking might seem tricky at first, but with practice, you'll master it in no time. Finally, let's cover some important rules for parking. Always check your surroundings before parking, making sure there are no obstacles or other vehicles in your way. Be aware of any signage that might restrict parking in a particular area. Never park in a spot that's too small for your vehicle, as this can lead to damage or inconvenience for others. And always remember to park in a way that doesn't obstruct traffic or block access for emergency vehicles. Safe and considerate parking is crucial for the safety and well-being of everyone on the road. Remember, responsible parking is not just about finding a spot, it's about being a responsible driver. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are tackling something that can be a real headache for some drivers, parking. Specifically, we are going to cover how to park correctly in front of a space. There are a few different ways to approach this, and we'll look at each one. First, let's talk about the basics of pulling up to a parking space. You want to make sure you're approaching at a slow and controlled speed, giving yourself plenty of room to maneuver. Don't just gun it up to the space, take your time and assess the situation. Look in your mirrors, check your blind spots, and make sure there's enough space on either side of your vehicle before you even begin to think about stopping. Remember, safety first. Once you've found a suitable spot, position your vehicle so that you're roughly parallel to the space, leaving enough room to steer into it comfortably. This distance will vary depending on the size of your car and the size of the parking space, but a good rule of thumb is to leave about 0 to 2 feet of clearance on either side. This will give you the room you need to make any necessary adjustments without bumping into the cars next to you. Now, let's talk about the actual parking maneuver. There are a couple of different techniques you can use depending on your comfort level and the layout of the parking lot. One common method is to use your mirrors to guide you. As you slowly back into the space, keep an eye on your mirrors to ensure you're staying centered and not getting too close to the vehicles next to you. Take your time and don't be afraid to make small adjustments as needed. Remember, it's better to take it slow and steady than to rush and risk damaging your car or someone else's. Another technique involves using your steering wheel to guide your car. As you back up, gently turn your steering wheel to align your vehicle with the parking space. You'll need to make several small adjustments as you go, but with practice, this method can become very efficient. Again, remember to take your time and use your mirrors to guide you. Once you're parked, make sure your vehicle is centered in the space and that you're not blocking any traffic. You also want to ensure you're not too close to the cars next to you. A little bit of space is always a good thing. Now, let's move on to pulling away from the sidewalk or curb. This might seem simple, but it's important to do it safely and efficiently. Before you even start to move, check your mirrors and blind spots again. Make sure there are no pedestrians or other vehicles approaching. Then, slowly and carefully pull away from the curb, using your mirrors to guide you. Be mindful of any obstacles, such as parked cars or pedestrians, and be prepared to stop if necessary. Remember, it's always better to be cautious than to be sorry. Smooth and controlled movements are key here. Avoid jerky starts and stops, and always be aware of your surroundings. And that's it for parking in front of a space. We'll cover other parking techniques in future videos, so stay tuned.